Okay, let's do this. All right, guys, what's up, everyone? Welcome to this very special event. I want to thank you for tuning in. We are here to celebrate 25 years of the Tumblewords Project, and we have a full list of performers today for you guys, people with all different sorts of projects. And really, we're just celebrating writing because that's what the Tumblewords Project is. 25 years of writing workshops, readings, events, and publications. People who have started their own books and been published all over the place. My name is Richie Marufo. I'm going to be your host today, and I represent the Barbed Wire Open Mic Series out of El Paso, Texas. And I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, say hello in the chat. It's always nice, since this can't be live, we're virtual, so we welcome you. But since we can't really get that live feedback of a live audience of people clapping and cheering and snapping and all that stuff we're used to, that as a writer you love to see and hear, feel free in the chat, throw some stuff in there. Some, what lines did you love? Who did you love? And of course, throughout the show, we want people to promote their work as well. I'm going to be brief because it's going to be a fast-paced show, unlike my other ones. And Tumblewords Project, find them on Facebook and their website. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Donna Snyder so she can kind of kick off the show and say some meaningful words. So Donna, the stage is yours. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Welcome to 25 years of Tumblewords Project.
Oh, hold on, you're still unmuted. Let's unmute you.
I keep clicking unmute.
There you go.
Okay. Welcome to the 25th anniversary celebration of Tumblewords Project. Tumblewords Project is a grassroots, not-for-profit weekly series of free writing workshops founded in 1995. That's a lot of workshops. Pretty much every weekend, every Saturday except holidays, we've been meeting since 1995. And the first few years we were doing 2 a week. We got seed money from the New Mexico Arts Division. Judith Hill sat across the table from me at the first Border Book Festival and said, well, if you wanted to do something about literature here in the Mesilla Valley, because I lived in Las Cruces at the time, what would you do? And I said, well, I would like to have a writing group the way you and Natalie Goldberg and Miriam Sagan and Joan Logie had in Santa Fe. And then a few weeks, I got a phone call saying, well, line up some people. And then I got a check made out to me personally, and it was amazing. In that first series, we had Denise Chavez, Debbie Nathan, Wilibaldo Del Vadillo, I think, from Juarez. It was originally called the Mesilla Valley Tumblewords Project, but shortly after I began Tumblewords, I moved to El Paso for a job representing people with disabilities. And so for the first few years, I offered a workshop in El Paso on Saturday afternoons and a workshop in Southern New Mexico on Thursday nights. From the beginning, top writers, musicians, artists, and scholars have presented workshops or participated on a weekly basis writing with us, or have presented in our performance events. Our presenters and participants number among the most prestigious Chicano and Chicano writers in the world. And I'm proud to say that we've had as many people like Dr. Felipe de Ortega y Gasca, may he rest in peace, the founder of the study of Chicano studies, Chicano literature, the ultimate Chicano writer, Denise Chavez, Amalio Madueño from Taos, a very well-known performance poet, Rosa Guerrero, a historical personage in El Paso, folkloric dancer, Valentin Sandoval, who's been for a few years now the up and arrived Chicano poet and video maker, Nicolas Mata, who lives in Portland now. He's a polymath, musician, artist, and writer. Dr. Miguel Juarez, who is a historian and known throughout the country. Levi Romero was our first featured reader at a performance event in Las Cruces that also had an outsider art exhibit of primarily Puerto Rican artists who lived in Las Cruces at the time. Roselia Solórzano, Francisca James Hernandez, Carlos Corral, Dr. David Romo, Juan Contreras, may he rest in peace, Patricio Gonzalez, Roberto Rodriguez, Debbie Nathan, Bobby Bird, Amit Ghosh, Lee Merrill Bird, Ray Ramos, Robin Schofield, Gene Keller, Leon de la Rosa, Monica Gomez, Lawrence Welsh, Rich Yanez, Sandra Torres, Victor Hernandez, Jesus Guzman, descansa en paz. Carmen Seda, Isela Fulton Slavin, Robert McGregor, the illustrious Michael C. Ford, whose backup band on his last spoken word album was the three at the time remaining surviving members of the Doors. Keith Wilson, may he rest in peace, Emmy Perez, and then Dr. Emma Perez, Dr. Yolanda Chavez Leva, Sasha Pimentel, Gary Brower from Albuquerque, Al Soto, rest in peace, Frank Morales, the great renowned artist Gabriel Gaitan, Rubio Rosco Santos, the renowned artist Helm Marcus, Ann Birch, Jim Sparks, Bill Sparks, Luis Alberto Urrea, who is among the pantheon of Chicano writers, Susan Clark, a brilliant artist, may she rest in peace, Artie Armstrong from Long Beach, California, Christopher Carmona from down in the valley, Isaac Echeverria, Eternity Walls locally, Lawrence Barrett, Kit Wren, Dr. Robert Wren, Dr. Selfa Chu, Azucena Dominguez, may she rest in peace, along with all her Hershey's Kisses, Rob Nosey, T.S. Ross, who now lives in Colorado, Judith Hill, who was the person from the New Mexico Arts Division who called me up and said, well, here, why don't I send you some money and you do some workshops, and continued to be my fairy godmother there for as long as I was in southern New Mexico. Alejandrina Drew, the goddess of Tumblewords, who was at the time the director of the Arts Resources Department of El Paso, and was an amazing woman, getting us money for events, for performances. And every once in a while she'd call me up and say, Donna, I have some money, follow application. And so I would, and she made sure that we continued through tough times and good times as well. Dr. Colata Caulfield, a Cuban-Irish writer who lives in San Francisco. Dr. Chuck Taylor, who taught for Texas A&M in College Station, Texas, as well as 10 years spent on their Japanese campus, and who was one of the major publishers of the underground press, particularly for Southwestern writers, publishing amazing writers like Ricardo Sanchez and others. Hal Marcus, Gris Munoz, who every time she posts something new and exciting is happening in her career. She's she won the first Tumblewords Smackdown, I believe, the first Tumblewords Slam we had. McKinley Cougar, a jazz musician, Carlos Fidel Espinosa, who's a musician, writer, and academician, Gustavo Enriquez, Raquel Achete, who publishes Chismosa Press, Raquel Mejia, who is the goddess, her sister Julia Quintanar también, Diosita, Yvonne Collins, Nick Rodriguez, Tafari Nugent, Richie David Marufo, Celia Aguilar, Hiber y Ponseca, the newest generation of Guarenses, Rios de la Luna, the great renowned Daniel Chacon, Lex Williford, Carlos Flores, one of the godfathers of Chicano fiction, and so many more. I mean, this is just really the ones that I that popped up on the top of my head. But particularly while I had grant money, but even after, we had featured presenters from throughout the United States, from Los Angeles and San Francisco on the West Coast to Washington, D.C., and New York City and Brooklyn on the East Coast, from throughout Mexico, including some of the most prestigious prize-winning writers in Mexico, like Luis Arturo Ramos and I forget the other guy, another person's name, as well as Leon de la Rosa and Wilibaldo Delgadillo, people from Cuba, Chile, Peru, Jamaica, China, Puerto Rico, and Hungary. So we haven't written grants since 2001. We don't get public funding or private funding. We do everything on a volunteer basis, and yet somehow managed to maintain a national reputation and international reputation, I've come to find out, for top-notch performance events and workshop presentations. We've also published 2 anthologies called Mezcla, Art and Writing from the Tumblewords Project. All we do is pass the hat, and the donations collected are given to the presenter as an honorarium. Despite this lack of financial structure, we've managed to have people like Michael C. Ford drive himself out to read for us and present workshops for us several years in a row for nothing more than selling a few books and passing the hat. Amalio Madueño, the widely respected performance poet from Taos. Lawrence Wells, a prize-winning Irish-American poet, known in Europe as well as across the United States. He was named one of the top 100 Irish Americans a few years back. The focus in our workshops is the practice of writing and reading aloud. There's no membership group. There's no membership dues. Different people come each week according to their schedule. There are always, almost every month, there are new participants as well. The experience level of people who participate in Tumblewords varies from someone who's been published in the Paris Review, others who have multiple books and have presented readings throughout the country, and people who've never written before. As I have made it a truism, we're all equal before the blank page. I want to thank the people who volunteered from around the country. It's a great list of people like Paul, who's been doing open mics in Oakland forever. Catherine Daly, who has been doing, well, she's won national prizes for her children's work, is a brilliant poet, and organized cabaret in San Francisco many years. Jeff Weddle, who's been very much involved in the small press. Miguel Escobar, who's an editor of an experimental literary journal. And I think I mentioned Wyatt Underwood, who does 3 open mics and has been doing them since about 2015 or 2012, something like that. I forget. So it's a great mix of people who have direct contact with Tumblewords or have over the years, and people who have put their life into cultural organizing, which makes you the compañeros y compañeras of Tumblewords Project. I want to say thank you in advance to each of you who did do that, put your reputation on the line, and take it away, Richie. Oh, wait, one more last thing. We've had a lot of people die. And so I just want to read off these names real quick. And for those of you who know them, keep them in your heart for a moment. And those of you who don't, send me a message and I'll tell you about them. First and foremost, the founding member, Jesus Guzman. May he rest in peace. Dr. Felipe de Ortega y Gasca. La Señora Raquel Duran. She came every week and wrote in Spanish. Azucena Dominguez, who brought dark chocolate kisses every week. John Williamson, who was a musician and a writer and a visual artist and left a great impact on all of us. Juan Contreras, the baby member of the Chicano poetry movement. He was younger than Ricardo and Lalo and all of the big godfathers of Chicano poetry. But his mother founded the Clínica La Fe in Segundo Barrio, and he became a nationally renowned lecturer on bilingual education, as well as a performance poet. Ida Lewis, who came down to my law office in the South Barrio and filed for me. Dave Davis, who died recently. The ever mysterious Al Soto, who we still miss, and some of us still seem to see him around. Susan Carr, the visual artist. And each of those people held a very special role in encouraging me in my writing and encouraging Tumblewords in their writing. So thank you, Richie, for being here. Thank you, Richie, for all you do for this community and for organizing this event.
Right, appreciate it. Hey, Donna, thank you. That was a great memorial. So much love to everyone. That's, you heard it there. That's a lot of people who've dedicated time to not just this project, but to writing, something that I think all of us who are here in this meeting, everyone who's watching on YouTube right now, that it means so much to us. And so, that's what we're celebrating today. I love it, Donna. I'm thinking about Azu, who participated often in my open mics. She would go all the time. She was a regular. But of course, everyone. And so check it out. Today, we're going to be reading our words. We're going to be sharing them. We got a lot of people from varied backgrounds. Donna gave us shout outs to a lot of them. And I'm going to let them talk a little bit about their projects very briefly. So because we do have a lot of performers, again, I'm going to ask that you guys go about 5 to 6 minutes. I think that's manageable. I know it is also easy to get lost in your words. So as a reminder, I'm going to play this little flute here as just kind of like a little warning that you're around 5.5 to 6 minutes, just if you need to start thinking about wrapping it up. So it's going to be something like this. Hold on.
Kind of like the Oscars.
There you go. Yeah, we might play you off. I don't know. Just don't go too long. We want to make sure everyone gets their time to do their thing. And so with that said, we're just going to jump right into it. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, if you're live or just at some point in a further date, leave a comment below and connect with the people that connected with you. All right, so we're going to start things off with our friend joining us from Alameda, California. He's got an upcoming full-length collection of poems from Nomadic Press, Bone Moon Palace. He's going to read some prose poetry. We have Paul Corman Roberts in the house. Paul, welcome to the stage. You get to kick things off. How are you?
Hey, it's not the first time. It probably won't be the last. But thank you, Richie. Thank you, Donna, and happy birthday, Tumbleweeds. This is actually my very first Tumbleweeds show, so it's an honor to have it be the 25th birthday. It's to be part of something that's stretched into last century is always an amazing accomplishment in the literary world. So let me not waste any more time. And I'm in the spirit of workshop. I'm going to be reading pretty much all new shit tonight. This is called Crack the Sky. Yes, I do want to take that longest ride to that farthest sea, immerse in your swells, drown in ambrosia cream, nectar moonlight, amniotic pull reflected off the jagged surface, hurtling, stubborn, the way you know, through satellite systems, maps viscerally kept alive in the archives, do want to be taken down into the verdant passages where there are things that glow without sunlight, that burn simply to defy unnameable dark, want to feel the flow and flux of the orbits within your orbit, gravity and balance. Even when you've gone, I feel, dream, sing the songs of your tides. I hull of a Hubble probing the periphery for a comet, a shudder in the sweet, wet dark. And 2 more, I'll keep it really short. I'll try to keep within the time limits. We've had wildfires out here in California recently, and that was preceded by a heat wave. And this poem was written in the fever dream of the heat wave we had just before the fires. It's midnight and 103 degrees out there. Some people show up at your door at the worst possible time. Some people show up at your door at the worst possible time. It doesn't matter that I'm not talking about now. People are willing to do drugs they wouldn't otherwise do if they believe it will lead them to the carnal delight. The air becomes different. The shape of everything begins slouching towards Vegas. Some people will do drugs they wouldn't otherwise do if they are simply offered. Dissociated prophets of the stratosphere like to say angels and demons among us can feel the shift of epochs, and you know who you are. Sometimes you accept that you will not sleep in your own home because you agreed to allow strangers through your door. We will need rituals of healing, rituals of matriarchy, And it's possible to fashion a complete meal with 2 heels of wheat bread and 2 tablespoons of pasta sauce to keep these few precious bubbles of air viable through the entirety of this new ocean we all swim in now. If you feel a shift, then start shifting. A voice once heard cannot be unheard. Thank you. And this is Brandon. I almost never post poetry on Facebook, but I just posted this one on Facebook because I just couldn't take it after this past week, especially yesterday morning. So this is called "The White Nationalists Are Stoned on the Smell of Their Ball Sweat Yet Again This Morning." It was neoconservatives' eve last night. Fight or flight now for God's beautiful queers, black and brown families in perpetual mourning, protection gun rackets for sale on every corner. QAnon is the new Ministry of Information. Prince DeVos smell broken glass, smell fire, smell the blood of the vulnerable, ooh, and it makes them hot with lust. Teenage martyrs, rifles strapped to their Bibles, matching blue youth uniforms, while white Jesus rocks out with Ted Nugent, all making sure dark Jesus knows which side of the room to line up on. Don't get too close to our chosen savior. Everything is on the table. United States of Russia, the earth-centered cosmos, will of invisible men who live in the sky. Thank you, Tumblewords. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Paul.
Bravo.
Yeah. There you go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Paul, for joining us. Yeah, what a debut. I love that once it's been heard, it can't be unheard. That second poem. I love it. Love it. Feel free to also plug all your links and stuff on the chat below, and we'll transfer that to the live chat, the YouTube stream. So yeah, once again, welcome everyone. Once again, we're going about 5 to 6 minutes. It is a free expression zone. So if you guys have something, just bring it. Don't need to censor yourselves. I mean, I would advise against like any blatant hate speech and all that. But I don't think we're gonna have a problem with this group. I hope not. So we're gonna go ahead and keep going, guys. We have next up a longtime supporter participant of Tumblewords, and I gave you guys an opportunity to throw in your bio. He wrote down "Wannabe Hemingway," but I'm gonna let him do his thing. We have Bill Sparks in the house. Welcome, Bill. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. This is a great event. Tonight, I read for David Davis, a Tumbleword writer who lost his battle with cancer earlier this year, a dedicated family man committed to his community, a volunteer with hospice, a master gardener building community gardens around El Paso, a Navy veteran, a small business owner, a published author, and a playwright. This is from the play he has in progress, Tears for Algernon by David Davis. This is a tragic story of a middle-aged divorced woman and her 3 sons, their relationships with each other and with death. The woman is trying to save the world. In the process, she loses her marriage, her 2 sons, the youngest and middle, and her life. Act 1, Scene 1. At a West Coast shopping mall, we find Mrs. Dora Williams standing at the entrance, diligently handing out flyers. Mrs. Williams has a stack of flyers and is passionately running up to greet people to ask them for their support in her group's effort to save the seals. With the broadest of smiles and laughing brown eyes, passerbys are immediately deluded into a sense of well-being, only to find themselves being asked to volunteer both time and money. One large man looks at the flyers. It has pictures of men clubbing baby sea lions to death. He grimaces, and hands the picture back to Mrs. Wilson. Good God, lady, don't you have anything better to do with your time than hand out crap like this? Mrs. Williams, awful, isn't it? Her smile turning into a frown. She points to the flyer. They slaughter them by the thousands. The pups don't even know to run. They simply lay there and get their tiny heads smashed in. Mrs. Williams pummels her hand for effect. The large man grimaces again, hands the flyer back, muttering something unintelligible and looking for an avenue of escape. Mrs. Williams chases back after him. But we need your support. Can't you help us? The passerby rushes to the mall entrance, grabs open the door, and disappears quickly into the crowd. Mrs. Williams runs to the door, drums loudly and rapidly with her index finger, rat-a-tat-tat, making a large tapping sound and trying desperately to regain the man's attention. Now she starts to shout. Act 1, Scene 1. but I will tell you that David Davis was my friend. And I wrote this several years ago for another friend, so I read it tonight in his honor. A friend is gone, life goes on, but now there is a hole. Something is missing from my soul. Family and friends grieve, life goes on, but now there is a hole. Something is missing from my soul. A friend is gone. I search for my memories. I search for the photographs. Where is my friend? Life goes on. Family and friends grieve, but now there is a hole. Something is missing from my soul. A friend is gone. Dave Davis was a veteran. And when veterans are interned, there is a special ceremony for veterans. And I will now read you the bugle calls. I stand at attention. The flag flutters in the breeze. Soldiers know the call of the bugle, the call of reveille, the call of retreat, the call of taps. Reveille is a brisk call marking the beginning of a new day, the raising of the flag. Retreat is a slow call marking the end of a tiring day, the lowering of the flag. Taps is a sad call, a soulful call, a morning call. Taps marks lights out in the barracks, time to rest. Taps marks the loss of a comrade in arms. Taps sounds at the graveside of a veteran. Taps marks the time to rest forever. The flag flutters in the breeze. I stand at attention. The bugle calls. For Navy veterans and for Dave Davis, fair winds and following seas. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and if you guys are here with us in the Zoom chat, definitely unmute yourselves after to clap to share. That's always good. Feel free to do that too. Thank you, Bill. Awesome.
Hey, Bill.
I'm glad you could join us. And of course, great tributes as well. As I mentioned before, if you guys have any pieces that you had written or inspired by Tumblewords or in tribute to Tumblewords members, please share them because it's a nice way to look back. Yeah, very beautiful. Again, so for time, I am adjusting the list. We do have, like I said, we have a full list. Technology stuff happens, so we're adjusting as we need to. So sit tight. I'm making adjustments on the fly here. But next up, we're going to go ahead and welcome. Let's see, who do we have? Mark Pumphrey. All right, so Mark Pumphrey is a constant Tumblewords attendee, writer. I always look forward to his work. He's going to share some prose as always. Mark, welcome to the stage. Take it away,
Richie. Thank you. As Richie said, hello everyone. I write mostly short prose pieces, mostly at Tumblewords for 2 hours every Saturday, whenever I can. So tonight, selected at random pieces. First piece, when I lived in Pierre on the Missouri River, there was a large flat plot of ground attached to the house I rented. My landlords were snowbirds who had moved to Apache Junction, Arizona. The little capital city had its share of eccentrics, but it was so 36 miles of nothing to get to the closest interstate that the small town eyes were observant but accepting of eccentrics like me. It gets on the open prairie grassland of the Dakotas, cling if for nothing more than body heat. No one blinked an eye when I rented a tractor and plowed up the entire acre lot for a garden. Nor did they notice when I, a single man living alone, planted the entire acre. They did notice as things began was that every single plant in my beautiful garden was what is commonly called a weed. In the end, my garden became a front page article in the Pierre Times News, but no one complained. The news article was not condemnatory. It was more of a community interest article. There is so little to talk about in Pierre. People were grateful. Scrolling down, sorry. I was quoted by the reporter as saying such things as, weeds have names too, you know, and feelings. They have feelings. They don't care if you think they're pretty. And do you think they care if you think they are garden material or not? They say, fuck you, daisies. Shit on you, petunias, you spineless people pleasers. They say, why do you think there are so many of us? We're everywhere, in roadways, along fences, in your yard. Fearless, that's what we are. Go ahead, pull us up. We'll just receive multiply. Give it up. We're strong. We're uncontrollable, and you know it. You got to respect that, I said to the reporter. Before I moved away, the town was thinking about adding my weed garden to their tourism brochure. And yes, it's still there, my weed garden, last time I heard. The second piece, Audrey did it best, and she was not a singer, sitting on a windowsill, looking wistfully into the street, strumming a guitar. Did she play guitar? Looking like a casual in her denims and white blouse, perfect imperfection. Neck too long, hair too short for the times, eyes too full of childlike wonder. But oh, those lashes. Her genius was in her voice as she sang to the rainbow's end. Gone was the pixiest actressy charmer, a voice stripped down, bare and raw, low and whispering and mesmerizing. I stood leaning out of the window above, tears welling up in my eyes for Holly Golightly, the character in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's, but also for Audrey, the actress, who embodied her character so completely. I was an actor, George, playing a character, Paul Varjak, but I was also a man who, not since covering George Hamilton with a blanket in Home from the Hill, had ever been so moved or so connected to another actor as I was now, seeing this character from Arkansas, Holly, trying to pass herself off as a New York socialite, and an actress from Belgium, Audrey, trying to pass herself off as a sparkling, carefree spirit in cruel Hollywood after enduring World War II as a child, meld into one person before my very eyes, blended, singing an aching duet, these two, a song of longing, a song to the moon and to the unexpected. Yes, Holly, yes, Audrey, I will take you to my bed, not to conquer you, but to console you, my huckleberry friends. Last piece is this. As teenagers, Bobby and Randy formed a guitar-bass duo in the family garage, El Paso in the 60s, and they were good. They added a drummer and keyboardist and got even better. Bobby was the guitarist and a born leader, so eventually they became the Bobby Fuller Four. They were soon discovered by a few minor record labels and had some hit covers, including I Fought the Law. By 1963, the band pursued a record deal with a major label in Hollywood. The drummers stayed home in El Paso, and the two brothers started arguing soon after the move to Hollywood. They could not break into the West Coast music scene and needed a hit that was all their own. Instead, the brothers continued to argue, and finally, Randy was kicked out of the band. The night that happened, Bobby called his friend Doug in El Paso, who flew out to Hollywood on the spot to replace Randy as the next bassist for the band. The next day, a property manager discovered Bobby's car parked in the parking lot, even though he was supposed to be out of town. That night, the car was torched. The fire department was called. Then the police were called when it was discovered that Bobby's charred body was inside the car. Someone had covered him with gasoline and lit a match. The murder was never solved. Randy testified that his brother had ties to mafia types who supplied him with drugs, one of the things they had argued about. According to Randy, he had also gotten involved with a girlfriend of one of the figures. Interestingly, Randy also testified that Bobby had had a change of heart and had taken him back into the band. That Bobby was out of town that night to meet Doug from El Paso at the Orange County Airport in Ontario to give the new bassist the news that he wasn't going to be in the band after all. After the murder, the band soon disbanded. Doug returned to El Paso where he sells insurance. Randy became a lounge musician. Who killed Bobby Fuller? Thank you all.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Mark. As always, appreciate the pros. I like to sit back and just let it take me places. So thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I've updated the list based on who's in the chat, and then so people join in, I'll kind of throw them a little later. Just shuffling around. That's all it is. So next up, we have someone who is a member of not only the Tumblewords Project, but a project called Papagayo Project. It's an EPCC group. I get to run it with my colleague, Professor Jorge Gomez at EPCC Rio Grande campus. Annette always goes there and has great insight and comments. Of course, she writes a lot with Tumblewords. So we're going to go ahead and get her up. Annette Velasquez, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can everybody hear me good?
Sure can.
Yay, I finally fixed my issues. Okay, I'm going to be reading two poems. The first is titled Waterman, which was the name of the actual Dutch ship that was a refugee ship after the Second World War, and it was a ship on which my father came to the United States. Okay, Waterman, Dutch liner, on which you made your passage, father, smiling from the gangplank, hand raised, waving at your friend's camera. And all this from my memories of a black and white photo long lost. And I remember also your stories of standing in line there in Traiskirchen, Austria. You, just one of the many refugees processed. And you told me that the longest lines were to England and Canada, the United States, but that you, young, tired, impatient, you stepped into a shorter line, destination, Netherlands. For 3 years, you lived in Rotterdam before coming to America. My memories, too, are of what I, a child, thought of as strange mementos kept in your desk, a shaving kit, letter opener, fountain pen, and shoe shine brush, your cherished gifts from Queen Wilhelmina. The eyes of the world were upon all of you. Time Magazine's Man of the Year, 1956, an artist's rendering, a composite, fiery-eyed, beret and topcoat with rifle in hand, the brave defender, respected and welcome. So very different from today's world, with its intolerance and xenophobia, its shameful shunning. And my second poem was from an actual workshop in Tumblewords back when we met at the Memorial Park Library, and it's called Loving the Skin I'm In, also about heritage and culture. I see her in the mirror, a chubby-cheeked, ruddy imp. She looks back at me through dark, almond-shaped eyes, a gaze of intensity, a woodland nymph, a sprite, mischievous elf. I've come to accept her, though we've had our battles, my youthful rebellions against the self. Futile, I know, although I turn from my father's Nordic look, our Germanic coloration, I long to be other as my mother, of a faraway nation, reminiscences of lost Sumer, Scythia. Always assumed Anglo, I'm not at all. And I recall how my half-sister, older cousin, were never confronted with that assumption. Still they were asked, and often, what are you? Middle Eastern, Greek, Gypsy even? And I think of them women on my mother's side of the family, permanently tan, dark-haired, exotic, echoing the East, the Hungarians' dimly remembered lineage of tribal people, nomads, warrior horsemen, galloping from Asia. I too am they. I've the fire, if not the look. Freckle-faced child, carrot-topped, funny how I longed for raven blue-black hair, thick and luxurious, shining. Still, I'm fair, not caramel skin, a light beige, not cappuccino nor toffee. And I've a wispy, windblown mess, my covering like crepe, a splotchy, fragile parchment, crinkled and wrinkled prematurely by this desert's unforgiving sun. that burning blaze. And I'm amazed at how with time a peace came, and with it understanding to love the skin we're in. It's not replaceable. We aren't capable of shedding as a snake does its outgrown hide. So grow pride and realize that all bloodlines are a blessed birthright, uniquely beautiful. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Annette. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Annette. Sorry, I was getting that spotlight. Okay, there we go. Okay. So also Annette has a book of a collection of poems, Daughters of Diaspora. Pretty cool. You should check that out. And yeah, guys, feel free to, like, when you perform, before you perform, or even after you perform, drop the links to all your books and projects, anything that we can follow in the chat, and then I'll share them on the YouTube chat. I want to give a shout out to several people that are there already: Terry Cutler, Mary Mooney, Eduardo Ariano, Gene Keller. Oh, cool. Brown Buffalo Bluesman. Okay, Mr. Tesosomok. All right. Shout out to everyone who's on the YouTube live stream right now. Thanks for dropping in and saying hello. Yeah, love to have you guys. So we're gonna keep going. Next up, our next performer is a poet and writer living in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He won the Eudora Welty Prize for Bohemian New Orleans, The Story of the Outsider, and Lujan Press, published in 2007 by the University Press of Mississippi. He's the author of 11 books. Jeff has also received honors for his fiction and poetry. He teaches in the School of Library and Information Studies at the University of Alabama. Let's go and welcome Jeff Weddle to the stage. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. And happy birthday, Tumblewords. I'll just get going. This one's called Life and Death Are Everywhere. Gin-drunk boy stumbles along the winter sidewalk, counting angels in his head, sometimes forced to rely on fingers and toes because angels multiply fast, die faster, and are often too tricky for anybody's good. The old lady riding the number 9 bus removes a halo from her purse and tosses it out the window as the bus passes by, striking the gin-drunk boy on the head to the delight of her fellow passengers, while she smiles and moves closer to her funeral, only a week away. She does not care that in the whole world there is no one who will remember any of this longer than the life of a mayfly. The angels remain far away and unaware of the old lady, the boy, or the bus, and go about their killing of innocent dreams as though nothing in heaven or earth could ever matter. And the old lady exits the bus at her regular stop, takes 3 flights of stairs to her small apartment, where the memory of an old cat claws her heart, and dreams of all the sins and comfort to be found in a hot and loving cup of tea. This one's called If. If I found you laughing, I would laugh with you. If I found you crying, I would cry. And if I found you dismembering a body, I would creep away slowly, oh so slowly, into the night. Zen mind gone. Your Zen mind has taken a powder. It's off somewhere in the void and does not miss you. Your Zen mind is the sound of one hand giving you the finger in perfect silence. It is the fragrance of blue, the rhythm of stone. Your Zen mind may return, but don't bet the bathtub. It is the thunderclap hidden beneath the doormat so the forgetful universe can get inside. It needs nothing but infinity, and you have none to spare. Your Zen mind is off being a holy tramp, not even waving goodbye. But say goodbye anyway if you like. Nothing matters to your Zen mind. That prick. All righty, this one is called Step Right Up. Hindenburg, Titanic, Jack the Ripper, Ebola, AIDS, cancer, COVID-19, ALS, straight razor in the bathtub, razor blades in apples, poison candy, poison intent, poison mind, bullet to the head, bullet to the back, bullet to the neck, bullet to the heart, bullet with your name on it. Bad air, bad food, bad water, cigars, cigarettes, Tipperellos, hidden burns, shameful cuts, decades and a bad job, bad marriage, World Trade Center, Pentagon, police officers with their hate, dead liver, dead prostate, dead lungs, no home but inside the skull, no home but the tiny room, no home but the street, no home but regret. Heart attack, diabetes, stroke, degenerative disease, all kinds. Bone rot, brain rot, life rot. The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire, fires in movie theaters, trailer park tornadoes, mass shootings wherever you like. Strangers who follow you home. Clowns who eat little boys who eat acquaintances, women who can no longer cope. The school bus in the river, gas leaks, stalkers, surveillance, wrong turn at the wrong time, failure to turn, failure to notice, failure to care, failure to try, Hindenburg, Titanic, Jack the Ripper. Pick your ticket, choose your ride. Okay, this one is called A Gift.
Cool, Jeff.
Thank you. A gift. Beautiful girl on a skateboard, black mini dress and frizzy hair on an August day in Alabama. Here for a second and gone. Trailing dreams and summer scorch. Somehow alone and shining. This heartbreaker in cool shades, rolling right on down the line. All righty, this is the last one. It's called Far From Me. I teach my class and let them go early so I can watch TV with my daughter. And we huddle together in bed, wrapped in blankets, pulled into Stranger Things. And for some reason, I look at my phone and there it is. John Prine, dead from the virus. And I remember the first time I heard his songs and the last time, and the world becomes brittle as people die everywhere. And my daughter asks me what's wrong, and there is nothing I can tell her. I can't even speak as she asks again, and the music stops for now. Thank you all.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Jeff. Nice meeting you for one. And also I heard your work first time. I'm a fan, and as I'm sure many other who heard you first time today. So thank you for joining us today. Really,
Thank you.
Really good lines, man. Love it. Thank you. Cool. All right, guys. We're just running along here. I love it. I love it. Don't forget to follow all the performers. If you guys want to, drop your social media accounts or projects too, so people can follow your work. Okay. So with that said, we're going to bring up from New York. We got some poetry from Catherine Daly. Catherine, welcome. I saw you here earlier. Here you are.
San Francisco, I think.
San Francisco. Oh,
Did she move to New York?
I have never lived in San Francisco, and I think there might be another Catherine Daly. I know there's another Catherine Daly who has written many children's books, but it's not me.
But you are here, and we'd love to hear your poetry. Welcome, Catherine.
I'm a poet. I lived for a long time in Los Angeles, and that's, I think, the connection between people like R.D. Armstrong and Michael C. Ford there. I'm going to read pieces of two poems. This first one is from a book I wrote called To Delight and Instruct. It's from a longer poem called Pedagogy, and it's Lucky Section 13. You're at risk, voting, judging. Will your actions, opinions, writing, beliefs reveal consistent with what you think you think you think? And the second one is from a different book called Vauxhall. And it's from, well, it's basically, I'm reading this because we've all spent a lot more time than we would otherwise spend in grocery stores and drugstores, or that's the only time we spend outside. And this is a series of poems that was written based on when you go into a drugstore and there's the candy rack, reading the names of the candy on display as kind of a concrete poem. So this is the first section, sixlet. I want, where sugar is a type, girl, an example, sugar blow pop, ring pop, twisted ring pop, out, baby bottle pop, charm pop, pop, Tootsie Pop, Push Pop, Crazy Dip, Pop Rock, Starburst, Skittles, M&M's, Airheads, Sweet Tart, Bubble Tape, Sweet Tart. Cellophane, a sweater like wrap for sugared loveliness. When sugar not spun or melted on the tongue is desire's object, sweeter than water, tart, and desire, deeper than a wine dark sea, pour some sugar on me. Sound strung to desire, uncouple vocal play. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, snap, crackle, yummy, yummy, ba-da, ba-da-da. Nonsense words rhyme because they are nonsense. Turning, burning, yearning. Uno look, rocky road, abba zabba, big hunk. Sun kiss, last chance, Twizzlers. Sail, pull and peel, now and later red vines. Rhyme, a little prize at bottom. Sound ditty, doo-wah, aura blast, pez, 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 tootsie, tootsie, tic-tac, pez, pez, pop, roll, blow, pez, pez, pop, jolt pop, way too sour, pop, Jolly Rancher, pop, Laffy Taffy, York Airheads, crunch cups, sugar mints, chew mongus, Butterfinger, Andes mints, chiclets, fun dip. From command, valuable equipment, bring me sugar. Restricted language codes, baby talk. Oh, baby, baby, the Vatican hum of bubble gum. Pop rock sizzle on your tongue. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, good to have you joining the show as well.
It's wonderful to be here. I'm really enjoying the readings. Yay.
Very cool. Yeah, glad to have this one. Special edition, pretty much, right? 25-year celebration. As Donna said, we'll be celebrating all year. Might as well, right? And if you guys like online readings, I'm going to do a quick shameless plug. I do have online virtual readings every Monday, starting at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. We go to about 11 p.m. Mountain Time, based here in El Paso. It's the Barbed Wire Open Mic Series. I'll drop a link in the Zoom chat as well as the live chat if anyone wants to sign up. If you do want to, if that's like a later time for you and you want to perform early, I always recommend signing up as early as you can. Yeah, so I'll drop the link as soon as I have a chance to. But right now, I want to introduce our next performer. This is special to me because I really miss this guy as a friend, as a performer. We both kind of did Poetry Slam back in the day, and it's a treat. He went by the Sphinx, but I think he's going by Rivers these days. He's got some poetry. He's from El Paso, performer from El Paso, but he's joining us from San Antonio. Guys, let's go and welcome Rivers to the stage. What's up, man?
How's it going?
In the house.
I miss y'all. I miss y'all so much. Can you hear me? Everybody hear me okay?
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, I miss my AP family. I started my poetry life in El Paso with the help of Richie and Miss Donna. And I would not be a poet or the kind of poet that I am without them. So I love that they're still just like nurturing the poet community in EP. You guys are very lucky to have such treasures as guides on this poetry journey. So without further ado, I have some new shit that I would love to spit for you guys.
New shit.
And some old shit, but this new shit. This one's called Diatribe. The days my Facebook becomes a graveyard. The days we wake up to wakes on our dashboard. Let's talk about the days that I'm looking at an open casket and the face framed inside the coffin looks like mine. Let's talk about how I'm dealing with the digital version of hate that my father dealt with, that his father dealt with, and it never stops uploading. White supremacy converted from analog a long time ago. Let's talk about how I'm not a woman of color, but I wish I was as strong as one. How American justice isn't blind, it's bought. How we show you a lynching on Facebook in 2020, but still have to convince you it's a lynching because you seem to have trouble with your long-term memory. Let's talk about how I'm done talking. How I'm over this political dialogue, how I'm done educating white folks on their legacy. My children are half white and too much black to be considered equal in present day. How we aren't on the mountaintop and we really can't even see it anymore. Let's talk about how the racists or unbothered white folks want to quote MLK, want to silence us with images of peaceful demonstrations, but ignore the photos of the aftermath of dogs and batons, of water hoses and burning churches. Let's talk about the burning churches and the burning crosses and how it's legal to join the KKK. Matter of fact, I'm done talking. If you have willfully ignored our suffering for 400 years, my soapbox won't be enough to wash your hands of our blood. That one's Diatribe, you guys.
Damn, man.
Woo!
Yeah.
So like I like a lot of people probably, especially on here. It's hard for us not to engage with people on Facebook. I am like horrible at not engaging with people on Facebook. And it's kind of like to a fault, you know. I'm looking for my other poem while I'm distracting you guys. So for me, I keep encountering this whole like let's well, you know, you're not really having a dialogue. Well, no, it's like, okay, I'm done talking about it. I think everybody should be you know, in 2020 should be aware of what the racial climate is for people of color in this country. So that was my diatribe. This next and last piece I'm gonna do for you guys is called Mother of the House of Queer. And I hope you guys enjoy it. This is relatively new shit. So my appearance speaks a language all its own. A dialect familiarly foreign, there is no proper translation based on the context in which you are witnessing me. It's been pieced together, one part individuality, two parts survival instinct. I learned how to speak like a stray boy from my pops. Understood that faggot and cocksucker weren't names of people that he loved. Heterosexuality became a straitjacket, contorting my appearance into something a little easier to digest. I used to tell myself that I would never be one of those gays, waving a rainbow flag and twerking on a pride float. But bitch, when I tell you, I kept finding myself in these awkward-ass conversations with narrow-minded, knuckle-dragging cretins, certain that I was a sympathizer to their malicious, misogynistic masculinity. They would drag me down into the depths of their minds with a glance. I learned how to imitate predators, change my crushes' names to girls, describe recycle fantasies at sleepovers. Mary, the mother of Jesus, would appear to people of different cultural backgrounds in the native garb, speaking their native tongue. Where is my queer mother? A fag dressed in drag with a walk that stomps out the devil. He, she, they, bless you with pronouns that transcend the binary shackles placed in us by the same minds that gave us a 5-day work week and an 8-hour work day. Oppressors. She speaks with a quick wit, slaying my inner demons with an unabashed love. She is snatched for the gods, death-dropping and homophobic false prophets trying to pray away my gay. Hail, holy queer mother of the misunderstood, gather my tears as they hit the ground beneath me. Turn them into diamonds. Show the world that we are made of beauty that is harder than any stone wall, that we are products of bricks and barbed wire fences. Rest in power, Matthew Shepard. Rest in power, Marsha P. Johnson. Rest in power, every other queer soul whose names were forgotten or ignored or erased, whose melanin made living in their truth that much harder. Ashes to ashes and glitter to dust. To you we pray, slay, and trust. Queer Mary, Full of fashion and grace, I pray for style and taste, and thankful for all the challenges that I may face for being your child. Thank y'all so much.
Right on, Johnny. Right on.
I appreciate it.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
I thank y'all so much for just giving me the mic for a little while. I really miss EP. I miss my poetry family and EP, and I wish you nothing but grace and prosperity. And I love y'all. Have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Tumblewords.
That's right. Yeah. Happy birthday, Tumblewords. Love it. Love it. Ah, I miss you so much, man. Hey, where can people follow your poetry online, like Instagram or YouTube or all that?
I just recently got back into the poetry game. I started slamming with a team out here called the 210Gs. We were ready to go to freaking to Southern Fried, and then COVID just kind of fried it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now I don't have anything online. I'm really just trying to get it all like together. I have a whole bunch of new work and videos that I'm going to be sharing soon. So just stay posted. And, that's all. Appreciate it.
Right on, man. I love it. Thank you. Love you, man. Good to have you back.
Thank you, bro.
All right. So we're going to keep moving on. We got a crazy list today, and I love it because I'm getting to meet a lot of new people too. And I'm sure everyone watching on YouTube is. We got some people on there. Yeah. So snap it up, if you're on YouTube or on the Zoom chat. We're going to keep it going. We have Michelle Murray in the house. She's going to read an excerpt from the Cosmopolitan and another from Blind Melon Chilton by David Davis. You heard about him earlier. Deceased Tumblewords writer. So Michelle, glad to have you on today. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And Bill did a fabulous job of telling us about Dave, who was a dear friend to us both and to many of you as well. So I'm honored. And actually in us reading, it was kind of interesting the way it came about. When he published his last book, I wanted a signed copy, and so he brought it to me, but he says, here, I got all this other stuff for you. And he just downloaded all this stuff to my computer. And I said, no, I'll wait till you publish it, because I want autographed copies. And he said, girl, when I'm gone, I want you to keep my stories alive. And it was completely in jest, but guess what? Now he's gone, and I want to keep his stories alive. So I'm going to start with this one. It's called At the Cosmopolitan. And it's told from the perspective of a canine, a working dog. And I think I'm only going to have the opportunity to read this because when I timed it out, I thought this was a pretty compelling one, but it stops around 5 minutes. So I'll just do this one. But At the Cosmopolitan. So this one was called the Cosmopolitan. The drool from my mouth lands in globs on the inside of my cage. It's a hot summer's night, and Gonzalez has left me in this makeshift kennel in the back seat of his patrol car while he goes to check for illegals. I watch as he approaches the 4 Mexicans. I stand up, pushing against the cage walls, when one of them starts shoving and yells at Gonzo. He made me wait in the car because he thought it would be a routine stop. But this was turning into something bad. I need to be outside watching his back. I flexed hard against the ceiling and I felt it start to buckle and bend. This cage is not going to hold me. Because of my 36-inch height and 200-pound frame, Gonzo and Sneed rigged this makeshift kennel, but I just barely fit in it. The 4 mojados have him surrounded. From what I can see, it looks like Gonzo needs me out there. One of the perps is brandishing a piece of concrete that he has tucked behind him. I need out there, and I mean now, right now. I push hard against the wire and it starts to bend. I can see the men start to argue. Then a brick appears from nowhere and Gonzalez is blindsided, knocked to the ground with these 4 mojados on top of him. Now, my instinct to protect the handler at all costs kicks in, and with a mighty push and stretch of muscle and jaws, I tore open a hole in the cage. Charging at the hole to widen and open it, I could see blood gushing from Gonzo's head as the men tried to strip him of his boots and his gun. I grabbed at the cage walls, making the hole large enough for me to get through. Once at the rear window of the car, with a final mighty push and shove, the partially open window shatters, exploding into 1,000 pieces. Clear of the car, and with mean intent, I charged the four. The first perp who saw me yelled, and he screams as I bite down hard on his thigh. His bone breaks under the vice-like grip of my jaws. The others, standing over Gonzo, had not seen me as yet, and so it was easy to knock one of them down to the ground. His head smashed into the pavement, knocking him unconscious. My rampage continues as I run over the top of the third man. Charging him, I land full force on the top of his chest. I know I heard some of his ribs break. The pain from my canine assault on him caused him to drop Gonzo's boots. Number 4 was still trying to get at Gonzo's pistol. When he sees me, he screams, "Pinche perro!" Pulling the pistol loose from his holster, he starts to point it while reaching for the rock that he crushed Gonzo's skull with. When I charge him, he falls over backward, but still holds the rock as I bite down hard on his gun hand. He swears at me in Spanish. When I jerk my head, the gun flies loose from his hand. I find it next to Gonzo and quickly cover it over, but not before he slaps me with the concrete right in the snout, cracking several of my teeth. A few cracked teeth was not going to stop me from biting down hard on his concrete-filled hand. Biting hard, I can feel the bones. Their combined screams for help brought a crowd of people out of the bar. Leaving number 4, I took on the crowd with deep barks and a firm stance. The looky-loos had wanted to investigate, but they stood back and just watched me. Just a big black dog standing guard over these mojalos. Number 4 still had the rock in hand and made a motion as if to strike me again, but my deep-sounding bear-like growl stopped him. I made eye contact, and instantly his animal survival instinct took over, and he tossed the rock aside. I checked Gonzo, and I sniffed him. I sat patiently to let him know, I've got this. And so that's an excerpt from David Davis's At the Cosmopolitan. And you can find some of his work on Amazon. He's got at least one book up on Amazon. And if Miss Paula is watching, I'd love to speak to her to see how we could get some of the stuff that I have published in her name, in his name, so that she could take over that. But thank you for listening.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Bravo,
I mean, what another great tribute, and I love the idea that we can share each other's stories even after we're gone. And hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we find people in our lives that can do that. So thank you, Michelle. It was lovely. So we're gonna keep going, keep rolling into it, guys. Next up, we have a writer from Los Angeles. He's the author of the novel The Ghost in You. We have Jeremy Height with us. Jeremy, welcome to the stage. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Good to be here. So I'm going to read 3 poems. The first 2, I had a publisher in Greece for a while, and I did an experiment where I would take a memory and I go in my head just before an important time in my life, and I would recall for about 10 minutes in my head and then write without any edits. And she published them when I sent them. And the last poem actually got published by they're called the Australia Latino Press, and it's a poem where all the words tumble together, Tumblewords. So first one's called Shimmers. Some day and month, 1986, 1987, Mom's face shimmers here in an eternal sun. She sits in a chair holding her cane with glasses on. This afternoon holds cut clean with brilliant fall summer afternoon in me now. She is at peace. She even slightly grins at some now erased body dives into a pool. She is a decade now past to ashes. Her goodbye was a cloud for a second. Her body soon after no longer let her come to pools, to open vaults of afternoon. My youth died into lines on my skin. That afternoon died into past. But I turn now in this memory, and my mind races to paint in pale fences, distant, false, forgotten roofs, that sky. But she shimmers here. The next one's a memory of a family vacation. May there be windows. 1983, some summer, month and day. We're on vacation here forever, at least until the hall of synapses, the rocks that memory is hurled against in 1,000 shards, until these hands rested fold in the grave, until these eyes of some middle-aged shut, suture and away. A vacation at the ocean of so much froth, of snacks, coolers, sleep and boxed cereal, and the novelty of portable radio, so much light, so much ballast. Here/there it is. Mom sleeps next to Dad here, her hair long like the branches of trees. Back by the railroad tracks, my brother and I, as little boys, would explore in quiet, sun-warmed afternoon hours. I'm up in the upper bunk next to my brother. The space now surely would now not fit one of us. The space surely is now long to rust or crushed to the final architecture of a metal square, or ripped and gutted to parts. Hopefully maybe a doorknob or window, still of some vacation somewhere. I turn now in this memory, and there is a window, light on waves flickering of night and day, of sand, then rocks, of the ocean as a mouth, and a bright moonlit cloud. There was no window. Memory and time have carved metal, born glass. Mom sleeps here, years from the world taking her away. Dad sleeps by the tiny stove. Knobs now shifted 100 colors. We're on vacation here. May this memory hold as I age, before I am wiped from this earth. May there be windows, real or imagined. I turn again and Mom is at peace. Impossible waves reflect the time, unhinged moon on their glistening backs. So much music on the shore. And the last one is called Never. Never kissed that woman who was never born, in that storm that never formed the glass. Gales of lips and two mouths never collided in oceans. I never walked that street. The man died before he could build. I never picked up the thing forever unmade that you let fall away. I never kissed that woman who was never born. The syllables of her name forever adrift, like unflocked birds, resting in the eye of that never-named hurricane that failed to manifest from so much heat, empty air, sky, and wind. Thus unborn all. The storm never became those headlines she held in those hands, so graceful of nails red as the sign never made, and of the lips as unreal of only the ghost skin of what is possible. These words fall away now, dissipate, like almost clouds on a shore. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
All right, on. Thank you, Jeremy. Yes, please. And share any links to your stuff on there. I mentioned he's out to the novel The Ghost in You. Looking forward to that. We on this 25th year anniversary of Tumblewords, words are tumbling, right? And so without further ado, I got another guest up here who has a special I feel like a special connection to. He's one of the founders of when I first started doing slam poetry in El Paso, freehold slam, but he's done so much more. And so joining us from Juarez, Mexico, we have Leon, and he's got his solo exhibition, The Remix Room. It can be visited virtually at the UNM Art Museum homepage. We'll drop the link in both chats. But there's plenty of language and poetry based artwork there. I'll let Leon take the stage, man. Welcome. Always great to hear from you.
Gracias, Richie. Hey, everybody. First of all, salute for Tumblewords. A little bit of Sotol in your honor. And I'll share my screen because I want to do something weird. Richie, can you give me?
Okay, getting on it now. Oh, almost there.
Yep.
There you go. Thanks for the reminder. Gotcha.
There you go. So my screen is there, right? I'll be performing a piece called A Triptych para Pandemia, and it's something that I call a poemema, which uses the language of internet memes and poetry. This desert dead escupe vocablos de distancia como gobernadoras named cuya gramática propia was never understood proper, lifestyles. Affirmed over vida sustantivos. Retorcidos into demands, answers. And out comes profits. and margins, books, and collectible articles of faith, poesía, y pornografía, poverty, and poleas. This desert dead es cuando cada quien se torna desierto desertor, with diminishing sense of essence, yet ego resoluto against hand me up aptitudes optando mejor por la adquisición, la concreta construcción, still, steaming somnolientos artificios, privilegios, confounded as fundamental human rights for dominion divino sobre algún remedio de destino. This desert dead apesta cada día más a cualquier cantidad de vida normal, life. Propia, if not by choice, la elección fue siempre contra natura, la selección fue suicidio accidental, systematic, undeniably, revolucionario, industrially, justified, económicamente insostenible, suddenly, sin saludos required, gingerly, generic. This desert dead es justamente natural. Justo hoy que todos los días resultaron ser domingo, se me ocurre que no hay nada más productivo que dudar sobre cada cantidad de resultados aprobados, cada recurso explotado, nuestras singulares arbitrarias jornadas, los colectivos viernes celebrados y cualquier lunes vislumbrado desde la certeza que nunca se logró lo suficiente, que siempre se intentó demasiado. Thank you, Tumblewords. Thank you, Donna. You're my poetry mama, you know that. Y salud para todos.
Thank you.
Right on.
You're my favorite genius, Leon.
Cheers. It was awesome. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share your links too in the chat right now in just a moment. But I got caught up in watching that. That was a pretty cool way to present the work. So yeah, thank you, Leon. I want to give a shout out to people in the chat right now. Amanda Wilson, Vanessa, Bianca. If you guys are still watching, hi. Good to have you guys tuning in. Anyone else who's tuning in right now. We still got that list going on. In fact, our next performer is a consistent attendee, writer, performer, and presenter at Tumblewords. She's been published in the Paris Review. Guys, let's go ahead and make some noise and welcome Robin Schofield to the stage. Robin.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. I'm going to read things from, am I unmuted? Yes. I'm going to read some things from my little chapbook called Nightmare Woman. And this is called, coincidentally, Nightmare Woman. The fox jumps up in the old dry Franklin Canal. She thought she might be permafrost, except her heart jumped overnight. He takes the hunter's moon down from the sky, carrier of lightning and her liver that jumps for a bird of prey. The caribou come down her throat into the thyroid, and they drink from a mighty river, unlike the dry canal. She swears her eyes were nervous and yellow. Her legs twitched like voles above ground. Her nerves hissed with electricity, thrashing like leaves. Let her come to the compost heap in all her bones when the river crests by the pineal gland. Open up the floodgates, turn on all the valves. Her blood vessels flee in the river like tiny darters. His forehead floats in the clouds, the night clouds. His thin lips are long, drawn-out sunset. Her heart jumps like the fox in the dry canal. He dipped his hands into the river. He laid them on her. Now she says her name. And then, thank you. This is another one called Nightmare Woman Runs Away. She ran off like a coyote into the dark, not her fate to be with the campfire creatures. She was not like a deer jumping with fright, whose eye fills a forest. She rambles over the hills, a troubadour only deaf snakes can hear. Her songs are not like the riddles of the sea, for the words are not raspy gulls. Let the birds rewrite the changing notes on the electrical wires. Let the composer ink in where the sparrow sits in the treble clef, and where the morning dove with her alphabet of grief, whose white wings are not those of angels, but felt-tipped pins. This song is for the place in the mountains beyond cell phone towers, where a pair of pyroluxia nest, where the knobby pines rise out of purple verbena stands. And then this next one is called Hospitality. The last time I read it, I left off the last lines. So I want to correct that tonight. You never know when a stranger might be an angel. Therefore, always let them in. Don't let strangers die of thirst in your desert. They won't know the secret water holes you have mapped in your head, a treasure code. X marks the life you would give to strangers in order to make a friend in the lonely desert. There is an understanding that they would do the same for you and show you the shade of the one tree, an acacia hugging the ground, befriending the ants. The migrant in search of water, let him in. Either he is an angel or he needs one.
Right on.
And then I'm going to do one more by, I'm going to do what my son calls a cover poem. And this one is by Rita Dove, whose birthday was yesterday. It's called Banneker, and I'll read the note first. Benjamin Banneker was the first Black man to devise an almanac and predict a solar eclipse accurately, and was also appointed to the commission that surveyed and laid out what is now Washington, D.C. This is from her book, Museum. Banneker. What did he do except lie under a pear tree, wrapped in a great cloak, and meditate on the heavenly bodies? Venerable, the good people of Baltimore whispered, shocked, and more than a little afraid. After all, it was said, he took to strong drink. Why else would he stay out under the stars all night? And why hadn't he married? But who would want him? Neither Ethiopian nor English, neither lucky nor crazy, a capacious bird humming as he penned in his mind another inflamed letter to President Jefferson. He imagined the reply, polite and rhetorical. Those who had been to Philadelphia reported the statue of Benjamin Franklin before the library, his very size and likeness. A wife? No, thank you. At dawn, he milked the cows, then went inside and put a pot on to stew while he slept. The clock he whittled as a boy still ran. Neighbors woke him up with warm bread and quilts. At nightfall, he took out his rifle, a white-maned figure stalking the darkened breast of the Union, and shot at the stars, and by chance one went out. Had he killed? I assure thee, my dear sir. Lowering his eyes to fields sweet with the rot of spring, he could see a government's domed city rising from the morass and spreading in a spiral of light. Thank you.
All right. Robin,
Robin.
yes.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes.
Oh man, I always love the imagery you bring to the table. So yeah, check out Robin Schofield online. You can find your books available right now.
And I still have one in print. It's called Flow, and I won a little award last year for it, and it's on Amazon. Or I have them in my car. I used to carry them around in my car. Now they're in my office.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely hit that up. We'll try and get the link to you right now. As always, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Robin, of course, also joins us from time to time on our Monday night open mics. If you want to be a part of that, I think I've left the link before. So we're going to get at it because we still have more readers. This is a really fun time. Again, happy anniversary. Happy birthday, Tumblewords. Next up, we're going to bring up Miguel Escobar, joining us from Sacramento, California. Yeah, he says you have ancestral roots in El Paso and Chihuahua. Recently published in Vexed magazine, published by Lori Gomez out of San Francisco. And you got a couple poems for us today. So go and take it away, Miguel.
Thank you. You're all hearing me okay, right?
Yes.
Good. I'll be reading two poems. As you said, the first recently published in Vexed magazine. The second one is a brand new one that I finished up specifically for this event. The first one is called Woke. Of prepared sheep innards, the age difference between lovers, and obituaries of the similarly aged, eyes suddenly wide, the personal kind of epiphany that feels so luxurious in the midst of evading the cynical business of modern pamphleteers, the ubiquitous talking heads. In a virtual cloud economy, what exactly is the game? Among other things, demographics really not so problematic to the original shiploads of refugees, a tidal wave of faces, the color of which must otherwise remain nameless. So much included, so much left out. Those seriously taken by the idea of free love dip in and out of consciousness of that very fact. We know about waking up Sunday to the paper, this first world. It's left to artists to depict the awful torrent. Those lagging have little sense of the true concept of time as simply the measure of distance traveled, the luxury of slow motion to enrapture the senses, the stuff of woke.
Cool, Miguel.
Thank you. The bystander of choice. Suffer a bygone day barely given over to long absent breath, more and sorry variations of it looming ahead at dusk, illuminated in the headlights, incessant grieving over the nation's folly, hope by means of a crooked windmill being churned to create shadow. Mock the anthem of the wrong flag you see proliferate. Mock the anthem of the wrong flag you see proliferate. The sheer number of words to describe every nuance of all ways in which you are being oppressed. Mundanely, the way in which everything needs to be introduced first as trending to warrant a minute of your time. Tritely, they call the news breaking to try and entice you, but it is fake. And you first grow one and then ultimately become covered in deaf ears. The others, I want to say, evincing almost a harangue with their constant invoking of some otherworldly dimension, except miracle of miracles, it is found inside. A God craving worship so much it consents to risk the lives of its own children. I sold my shares in Church Incorporated at a crippling loss. Everything in between your birth certificate and my death, the drug that is our coffee, the drug that is our beer, the mysterious wine we learned too late was nothing so much as a volley in someone's spiritual recruitment war. All the hats in every photo turning to look back this way at you, oh bystander of choice.
Boom.
All right. Cool. Awesome. Hey, thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Any projects you'd like to plug? Again, check out those publications in Vexed. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I don't really have anything at this moment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So let's see. Oh, okay. All right. Next up, we've got another what can I say? You know, he's a consistent also member of Tumblewords. You can catch him there every week. In fact, even at the online mics, we say he has the perfect attendance record right now. And also the creator of not the creator, right? But the cover poem, right? The sensation sweeping the nation. We have Kit Wren up next. He's going to share a little something with us. Welcome, Kit, to the stage.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you, everyone watching. I honestly would not be even a quarter of the writer if I am without Tumblewords. I might not even be a writer at all, at least not one with something to point to. Be a fig tree without figs. Hate those guys. But no cover poem. No cover poem today. I'm just gonna run through 3 of my own, and I'm gonna time myself just to see how long this takes. I'm about to submit this for something. But these are all things I wrote in Tumblewords too, so that's cool. The Reformation. The comedians have renounced raunch and transphobia and hatred in general. They have seen their folly, they tell me. They credit me for their Damascene moment. They line up and say sorry and thank you as if it is all one word, a chant for newly shaved Hare Krishnas. They have set up this event, the first of its kind post-pandemic, to prove their sincerity to me. One approaches the mic, and then another. They are all reading aloud from the same worn copy of Capitalism and Schizophrenia by Giles Deleuze. They pass the one copy between themselves as they all take their turn, going for exactly 7 minutes each. It has a used tag from a college bookstore. University of Vermont. Charlie the Catamount is just barely smiling at me from the crinkled sticker on the spine. Their faces as they perform are intense, and as the others sit and watch, they are rapt. One is taking notes. My companion and I retreat to the patio, and by his leave, I smoke my first cigarette in 2 years. One by one, the comedians follow me out, eager and pleading like seminary students. Is this better? Are we better? Have we made up for our sins and our wayward lives? The truth is, I don't know. The truth is, I thought I would always have to fight them for saying one awful thing or another. I viewed it as a responsibility I had to the scene. And the truth is, I have a middle management bred paranoia about what it means when a responsibility gets taken away. The truth is, I liked the fight against them so much that I didn't give a thought to what victory would look like. The truth is, I confess to the one with the notebook, I haven't read very much theory. All right. City Council meeting, November 22nd, 2061. The zoning committee has been working around the clock, availing themselves of even the extra 37 minutes. The issue is a silly one, but one with billions of dollars staked on it regardless. Owing to the nature of Mars-reduced gravity, how far away from residential neighborhoods must the proposed stadium for the expansion franchise Mars City Rovers be built in order to prevent unusual amounts of property damage from flying baseballs? The meetings have been contentious, detail-oriented, inscrutable, and unproductive. At this point in the young history of Mars City, not even a generation on, the pioneer's dream of leaving Earth's problems on Earth seems tragically naive, like a virus praying earnestly for its next host to be tougher. And Ars Longa Vita Brevis. I just came up with the title for this last week. I've had it for 5 years, but I just titled it last week. Amazing. Well, the title's the last thing. The title's the capstone. That's what I'm telling myself. I don't know how the conversation transitioned from bad puns to general theories of art, but it was sudden and regrettable. He insisted to us repeatedly that it's only art if the artist thought it would change the world. He had no method. He had no examples. He was so earnestly wrong-headed that I wanted to hug him and tell him everything's going to be okay, little buddy. But these gestures can be misinterpreted. My smaller, fairer, and meaner companion went on the attack, recited the books of Foucault like a prayer, intense and precise. She leaned in triumphant as his face became gaunt, confronted with what he did not know that he did not know. For my part, I contributed flecks of light at the margin. I mentioned the death of the author, the intention fallacy, and a simplified tale, a shortened tale rather, of Kafka and Kafka's dull, slow-witted friend Max, the least reliable literary executor in the world, a man who could not be trusted to start a fire with just paper. He was in the end unfazed, unconvinced, unshaken. He continued to believe in things unseen and soon moved on to the all-hour sandwich shop next door. And we, the unacknowledged legislators of the bar room, ordered 2 more doubles and took turns saying, I don't know, man. I don't know. We didn't. And we were sick with envy of the insolent ones who thought they did, of the man whose innocence we had failed to even dent.
Right on. That was a perfectly timed ring. Ding. And thank you, Kit. Awesome. I love those pieces. They're
You're the
so,
coolest, Kit.
It's so enjoyable, right? Okay. Oh, this is going smoothly. We got a couple more performers. Thanks to everyone who has been tuning in once again on YouTube that are in the Zoom chat. We do have people having technical issues, but you know what? They're part of this still the same. So, you know, we can share their work on the event page on Facebook. But right now we're going to bring up a writer who says Donna invited him. He's joining us from Los Angeles, California. He first studied poetry at NMSU. Let's go ahead and welcome Wyatt Underwood to the stage. Welcome, Wyatt.
Yoo-hoo!
Let's see. Let's get you up here and unmuted.
I responded, hey, but then I realized I was still muted.
Hey.
Yes, I studied with Keith Wilson at New Mexico State University back in 69 to 74. And I even knew Denise Chavez at that time. She was very, very young. Well, I now work in Los Angeles and I'm 78 years old, which is no longer young. Oh, and I have a book published by the World Stage Press called 2015 365. I wrote a poem a day in 2015 and they published the collection. And it's available on Amazon. And I would get you the URL, except when I tried to find it, I couldn't. I will do that by the next time I join you. Donna, I will be coming back. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Okay. This first poem is called Duel. In a movie, in a dream, in a haunting, in a hallucination, death is coming for you. Death is waiting for you. Like you, armed with a 6-gun, and there you stand, or stagger, or walk on Main Street of a dusty ghost town under a blazing sun. At the end of the street is a well, cool water, so you've heard. All you have to do is get there, get past death, waiting inside some niche. On your right, sunlight pries open the gaps between the buildings. On your left, darkness fills them. You drag your wounded leg, hopes on the well, but you cry out, "Coming out, death, damn you."
Amen.
The second one is called Refreshing. I am reading these poems, see, but they read old. My cursor went away. I am reading these poems, see, but they read old, like yesterday, like last week, like a month ago, like maybe someone else or some other history. But today, itches my skin, crinkles my rashes, burns my eyes, and I want to scream, no, these are the olden days. Where are the protests of today? And my fingernails flay and rip and tear. The heels of my palms rub my eyes till I can almost not see. And the rubbings, the flakes, the curls of skin settle onto the paper below, burn themselves in as new letters, new lines, and protesters fill the streets in some city. Dozens, hundreds, then dozens of hundreds, marching, singing, chanting, carrying signs. The police, of course, join us, but in riot gear and armored personnel carriers and bomb squad trucks, being unobtrusive, you know, and de-escalatory. And their counterparts on our side, the looters, the firebrands, the provocateurs, race along to head the protesters' march, to find likely store windows to break, to shatter, fuel to flame. They pull a 40-foot boat out of a department store, corrals it down a gasoline station where the manager runs out to warn them they are filling not the tanks, but the boat itself. And while he hollers, some fool lights a match. Station and boat carumph together, incinerating 20 before anyone can think. And the late night news is city blocks aflame, not hundreds and hundreds of protesters chanting for justice, without beatings, without killings, without riot gear, without armored personnel carriers, and the police chief explains why all the military surplus is needed. Aldermen soberly nod, and my skin flakes, settle onto paper, and my eyes burn from gasoline smoke, and the new poem feels fresh and new for now.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Yeah, Wyatt, thank you for sharing. Is that your Harley behind you?
That's a former Harley. I rode a Harley for 20 years, but I can't do it no more.
Well, you definitely rode your words today. Appreciate you for making it on. Thanks for joining us.
You betcha.
All right. So, Wyatt, we're going to go ahead and keep it going, guys. Let me go ahead and take a look at the list. Yeah, it's been awesome. We got a couple more people left. Next up, yeah, we have another consistent Tumblewordsista, as we say, joining us from Sunland Park. He's going to read a little bit, but he's also looking for a project manner for some stuff he's working on. He's got 3 volumes that he's written for publication, and the project's already funded for the rest of the year. So if you guys are interested, if that sounds like something you might be interested in, then I encourage you to find him on Facebook. You just look up Ken Kenyon, and let's go and get you to the stage. Ken, welcome.
Thanks, Richie. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Great. I wanted to write something about Tumblewords that would be appropriate for the occasion. So this is shit. 10 years ago, it was my honor to serve as president of the El Paso Writers League during the year of its 75th anniversary. Tonight, we celebrate 25 metaphoric years of collaborative chaos at Tumblewords Writers Project. There is one voice comes calling from our collaborative Tumblewords mind, the voice of invitation to explore your own spontaneous thoughts as we each share our reaction to a common prompt. This is shit. We're good at saying what we want said. Some say that's how they found out what's inside their head. Lay it out past the instant of dread till all that's said that's unfinished by us is finally written and read. Keep tumbling. And God bless Donna Snyder.
Yeah.
And I want to share one other piece that Donna found memorable, at least so it seemed, because when it came up years before, she posted on Facebook, I was there when you wrote that. Tumblewords and I have been together about 15 years now, and one of the volumes that I'm planning to publish consists of works that were primarily started or written in Tumblewords. This particular piece has been one of profound impact since it was written, especially in light of some of the wonderful things and memorable things that have happened since the time of its writing, which was in April of 2013, about 7.5 years ago. To pay myself. To pay myself for what I have earned may be the longest lesson I have learned. When the dogs are barking, I'm not afraid. Less edgy after dark. Some progress have we made. Today, I got a CIB to grace the face of my cap, and a harvest yellow ribbon striped 3 red, 2 green, not to show it off, not to show me off, just to say the truth. To say the truth, I've kept no score from days of youth and yore. I've asked survival, nothing more. No bonus, stock, or interest to be liable for, beyond I'd hoped, the end of war. This new symbology, dragged from the sleeping past, hangs on my aging azure brow to resurrect from memory, belief, from then till now. The orange stench of diesel dirt and shrouds of sulfur clouds, the echo of reverberating tat-a-tat-tats and distant booms reports, the yaps of a single barking dog that won't grow silent until the end of midnight, after the end of memory, after the end of war. Until then, I've been a soldier. Till then, a peace believer. Been until the end of vigilance will I the peace defend. I wear the CIB to say at war, I took my turn. 3 red, 2 green. I wear to pay respect for them who will not return. I'll hear them in the echo and watch them in the haze till hounds to quiet grow, till destiny her karmic bargain pays for prayers pled in the jungle, curses whimpered from the cell, for visions reckoned in the sun's eye, for vigils whispered at the well. To pay myself what I have earned may be the longest lesson I have learned. I once co-signed a debt of woe. Now will I pay me what I owe, and sleep with sated dogs till morning pays the dawn with stripes of harvest yellow, 3 red, 2 green, into the azure gone.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Ken.
It's
Thank
always
you.
great to hear you, Ken.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all of your Tumbleworders. Let's do another 25.
Sounds good to me.
That's right. Yeah. Wow.
so much for
25
being
years. I think I was like in kindergarten or 1st grade when you guys started. So
Shut
man,
up,
that's
Shut up, Richie.
but
I attended some as a 12-year-old. I attended some as a 12-year-old. I'm not sure if I got anything useful out of it, but I was there.
It's fun, you know. I found my way. I found my way towards you guys. But Ken did I think a very great a piece. His first one, like, as kind of a tribute to Tumblewords. For the uninitiated, he had a lot of references, and I know one of them is that you're not allowed to like preamble your whatever you write that day with anything except for what. I don't know if you want to fill us in with that, Donna.
This is shit.
This is shit.
So just as a little bit of like inside info, because I know people always have the tendency to want to like say a million things like, oh, I just don't know, I wasn't ready. People want to say a million things about what they wrote, but I think that's, you just either read it, or if you want to say something, you just say this is shit. So that was
Just
pretty,
read.
yeah, there you go. Just read. But definitely check out the online sessions. As Donna mentioned, they are online now. You can find Tumblewords Project on Facebook. All right, I'm gonna keep going though, because we got some more wonderful people we want to get on. Next is someone new. I haven't heard of her before, but I'm looking forward to hearing your work. Joining us from Naperville, Illinois, we have Caitlin Lynch. Gonna be reading a flash fiction piece. Welcome, Caitlin. Let's get you unmuted too. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, hi everyone. So yeah, this is my first Tumblewords event. So thank you to Michelle for inviting me. I'm really, really happy that I'm here because everyone is so talented and I'm really enjoying it. So this piece that I picked, this is called On the Recent Disappearances in Your Small Town. And yeah, I'll just get to it. One by one, the bodies in the lake floated to the surface. I wish I could tell you this was a metaphor for self-discovery or healing from childhood trauma or whatever else your meditative self-help podcast guru drones at you while you drive to work every morning. It's not. In March, the snow melted and the lake thawed, and we had to watch as these bloated bodies, all full of holes and pond scum, came up from where the frost and the winter had been hiding them for so many months. Maybe it could be a metaphor too, I guess. I don't know. If that resonates with you, if you read this and you think, wow, emotionally, I feel like a frozen lake with a dozen grotesque prismatic blue corpses, then I really don't know what to tell you. get a therapist, maybe a really good one who gives meds. I don't know what the police investigation could represent in your great cosmic journey, or whatever, the path to self-discovery maybe. Although I can assure you, you really don't want our police chief digging around in your psyche. He's like 70, really angry all the time, and he constantly smells like canned ham. Who even buys canned ham anyway? But none of this is the point. The point is that those girls are dead. Eyes wide open, hard as a rock, dead. And it's horrible. It was horrible when they went missing last summer, and now it's horrible all over again watching the cops have to tell all their parents that now they're really 100% for sure, absolutely positive, I really mean it, never coming back home. They sent the new guys to the doorsteps, the ones right out of the academy. All of them were barely older than the girls themselves. They weren't prepared for that shit. The parents wailing and screaming and falling to their knees. Mrs. Worthington even threw a lamp at one of them, barely missed him. He was so shaken up he had to take the rest of the day off. Some tough guy he turned out to be. Someone points a gun at him, no problem, but a suburban housewife wearing a ratty bathrobe and curlers in her hair chucks a thrift store table lamp over his shoulder, and he needs to go lie down for a while. And then the mayor gave some kind of a press conference. It was only the real vultures who showed up with their big news cameras and those weird fuzzy microphones, always dressed ready for a funeral. Maybe it's because they're always hoping for one. They hardly let the poor guy get his carefully prepared words of condolence out, standing up there with his halfway soggy note cards. Just crowded the stage, shouting all over each other and pushing and shoving instead, asking their own carefully prepared inflammatory questions. No one cared about the answers. No one cared. All these girls just disappeared into thin air. Someone made it like they just didn't exist one day. And that's what they ended up being reduced to. Fish food and election year bullshit. Not even people with stories or futures, just grainy faces to flash up on the TV screen at the bar or in the bowling alley when the game isn't on. And eventually they won't even be that anymore. Memories for a few people, maybe, headstones with their names on them, flowers once a month at first, and then once a year if they're lucky. I once heard someone say that you only live as long as the last person who remembers you. I think it was a celebrity or something. It's probably inspiring to people like that. Sure is depressing as fuck when you think about it like this. Do you think anyone would care if you died? Or even just went missing for a day or two, a few weeks even? Parents and friends all in a little huddle by the landline, crying silent but terribly tragic tears because we have to stay strong for her. It's what she would have wanted. Would there be search parties and missing posters and your face on the news on milk cartons? Do they even do the milk carton thing anymore? That was the conversation I ended up having with myself. Every night I found myself wandering around my house in the hour before the sun rose, looking at my reflection in all the mirrors. I came to a sort of unsettling peace with the shapeless way my face looked in the dark like that, knowing that I existed but unable to make out exactly how or why. That was what I did when I couldn't sleep. Stared into the place where my eyes should be and wondered what made me different from the girl lying on the cold metal slab of the coroner's office, cut open but not bleeding. Maybe the only thing that would change is that if you took a scalpel down my chest, everything I'm made of would come spilling out, a liquid red defense mechanism, some sort of silent scream. I didn't know any of those girls, but I really don't think we were too dissimilar, you know? I think it could have been any one of us in the lake just waiting to be found. In a way, we all kind of are already. We're sitting in our own private traps, like Norman Bates said, and we can go left or right or down, and we can see the surface, touch it, it's right there. But no matter how hard we try, we just kind of have to wait for the spring to come and say, look, there was nothing you could have ever done to save yourself, and that's okay. It was always supposed to end like this. Huh, I guess it is a metaphor after all. What do you know? Right. Thank you for listening.
All right. Hey, thank you, Caitlin. And so you have a lot of upcoming work and anthologies and your own stuff. And if people want to follow you, it's caitlinlynch.com, right? Like it's spelled there on your name.
Yes, here, let me, oops. And I just, yeah, I put it in the chat right there. So it's just caitlinlynch.com, just my name.
All
and
right.
that has a link to everything.
Awesome. Yeah. First time Tumblewordista. Hopefully you can make it to one of the workshops, and we'd love to have you at one of our virtual open mics on Mondays. So we'll share that link with you. We got a couple more performers. That was something else too. Yeah, cool feedback too on the Zoom chat. So thank you, Caitlin. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Our next performer is a poet, writer, and educator. He lives, gardens, and blogs at Dry Creek Farm in rural Utah. So he's joining us from Fillmore, Utah. We have Steve Brown in the house. He's reading something called "It's a Rainy Night in Denton." So welcome.
Oh, Steve.
Thank you. I was part of the El Paso writing community back in the early 90s, and I learned quickly, so this is some shit. Writing for me has always been an associative process. I sit down with a single image, thought, or feeling, and then rummage through the equivalent of old magazines in my mind, ripping out bits and pieces like a collage artist. Then I assemble them bit by bit, hoping they'll lead to some sort of semblance. Perhaps this sometimes leads to layers and complexity that I wouldn't develop if I worked more linearly. Perhaps sometimes it just leads to multiple journeys down off-topic paths that don't add up to the overall effect and only contribute to wordiness. I always hope it's not the latter. I want something that shimmers like the world through a rain-dappled window at night. Blues, yellows, reds, and purples pocked and streaked in sub-narratives that mix and mingle and diverge again. What I really want my writing to do is dazzle. If pushed, I'd probably have to say I'm for style over substance. I don't mean any particular style. I just mean sound, visual sound, auditory sound. The power of words is words. Sure, I'd like to say something worthwhile in the process, but the truth is, I write to write. To reach into that cool, deep well and pull out some slick, dripping image, and to hear that translucent sound layered up as I stack image after image. I was first aware of the power of words as simply words when as a teenager I heard Bernie Taupin's opening lyrics to Elton John's "We All Fall in Love Sometimes." Wise men say it looks like rain today. It crackled on the speakers and trickled down the sleepy subway trains. For heavy eyes could hardly hold us, aching legs that often told us, it's all worth it. We all fall in love sometimes. Wow. The sounds, wise men say, stop. It looks like rain today. The movement. From the abstract, wise men say it looks like rain today, to the hyper-concrete, if not surreal. It crackled on the speakers. You get a popping image, a cracking sound, a ping, something short and quick. Then you slide into the slick, watery image of and trickled down the sleepy subway trains. Oh, how that rain mingles with the chrome and stainless steel of the subway train. Then you return to dead weight, for heavy eyes could hardly hold us. Whose eyes? Why? And then that weight is given tactile reality. Aching legs often told us. It was so serenely beautiful in an achingly heavy sort of way, like failed love. I didn't realize it at the time, but that is the moment I became a poet, a worshiper of words and their power to elicit and communicate that which is beyond everyday language. I realized that day looking out the rain-speckled sliding glass door of my dad's house in Reno on a cold day at the end of May, clouds hanging low on Peavine Peak, that words in reality are instruments, and one could play them in different ways, creating different moods and tones, perhaps even layering them up like a symphony, depending on how you use them. And so I wish to open this number with a borrowed note, a heavy but steady feeling of longing, of yearning, a subconscious water that bubbles up rich and black, full of bits of decayed wood and other organic shit. Life strong, felt but not easily described. It comes from a song, A Rainy Night in Georgia by Brooke Benton. It starts off so slow, a gentle mist, slick streets, heat and heavy humid skies. Then the steady beat of a heavy downpour, neon lights streaked and swirled in street gutters, water everywhere, mixed with light going great guns. Only this is a rainy night in Decatur, Texas. I'm driving, the wipers are going and going. They must be worn out, for they leave a heavy streak behind. I can't see where I'm going. I can't drive at night under the best conditions. I broke my glasses and haven't replaced them. At some point, we pull over and Marcy takes over. We're headed east on US 380 toward Denton. This is now familiar territory, heavy with history. Writing is tricky business. We live so much of our lives leaving out the hard parts. We just get through them instead. We ignore the layers, how the happiness is mixed with pain, how the now bleeds into the past. Writing, good writing, the type worth composing, the type worth remembering, drips density like heavy Spanish moss on a soggy southern night. In good writing, you can't thank someone without being honest, and you can't be honest without digging in the muck. You've got to get at the slick torn layers of magazines you pull from the mud and glue to the canvas. It's an exaggerated process, hyper-focused on a moment or a feeling. And for some reason, it works better if the images haven't been accessed for a long time. In a writer's life, he may be 100% committed to now, his current marriage, his children, his work, simply all that matters to him in the present. Yet, the good writing is still deeply connected to the past. It has to be. There is something about the story getting buried in the subconscious and stewing down there with other stories, other images, and then bubbling up to the surface. Time is the essential ingredient. The image must be removed in space and time from today. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for
Thank
making
you so
it.
much, Steve. It was great to listen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice meeting you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's been nice hearing everyone. So yeah, it's cool to learn a little bit of the Tumblewords history too through like everyone who kind of comes up, whether it be their first time, right? Or they're coming back after a while. So we had about 8 performers, about 8. That's crazy. That I guess had trouble with the link or with the internet. So I don't think anyone else made it on, but I know that Donna wanted to share a piece, right? And in tribute.
Yeah, since people read Dave's work, I thought that I'd read a piece by Jesus Guzman, who was founding member of Tumblewords. He was the resident bodyguard, and he was the muscle as well as the bleeding heart and the kind of poet who could get second grade or immigrant children who didn't even know English to write a poem in class and stand up and deliver it. Jesus descansa aquí. He used to smoke cigarettes. Too many, his friends said. Jesus used to eat fat foods and never exercised. He used to drink and never wanted to lose weight. Never paid attention to his mother, who would say, Julie, you better exercise or stop stuffing your face. He then responded by scarfing 2 more mole burritos and washed them down with the caguama. Jesus died with a big fat pain in his chest, and his epitaph read, "Here lies a gordito cabron who paid no attention to his mother." Jesus wrote that several years before he died, and it was published in a Rio Grande Review. So thank you for
Rest in punk Jesus.
yeah, he was such a joker. And in fact, when he fell to his death at age 44, I know that he was going down saying, "Ay, cabrón," because that was one of his favorite things to say. And that's all I had for him. And I can't really put my hand on anything in this office filled with stacks of papers and books and notebooks. I can't seem to find anything to read. Besides, I had a lot of stuff to say at the beginning. Thank you, Richie, for organizing this event. I got messages from some people who had trouble with the link and other people who just had personal technological difficulties. And so I think we're it.
No, actually, we do have someone in the chat. I was asking earlier. Will Win is in the chat, just through a different account name. So, yeah, people are notifying me right now. So we do have at least one more person who signed up that's actually here. But yeah, thanks for everyone who tuned in. Technology, it's gonna happen. So I know Will signed up to read.
Will Win.
Some poetry from New York City. Quick bio. It says here an Ecuadorian bilingual poet and writer, and also pre-COVID-19 host of the monthly curiously refreshing open mic experience in Staten Island, New York. So I hope you're still with us. Didn't mean to skip you. I was going off of the names, but let's see. Let's get you on. Welcome, Will. Let's see. Where are you?
There we are.
Oh, there you are.
All
right, cool. You made it.
Yeah, it's not Will. It's Will Brower.
That's a different William. It's not Will from Brooklyn.
No, I'm in South Florida, but I appreciate the welcome regardless.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Your Wi-Fi is being a little spotty, but I think you can do it. What do you got for us?
Okay, I'm going to read actually a selection of a fantasy series that I've been writing for almost 30 years. And it's actually one of my proudest portions of the writing.
You know, I really can't understand anything you're saying. Earlier today, someone had good luck by turning off their visual and it freed up their mic or something. I don't know.
Okay, let's see here.
Oh, love
okay.
it.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
better now?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Greetings, friends of old. You have returned in an effort to save your friend and ensure of his destiny, the oracle spoke in labored breaths. We have, but what ails him so? Caravax asked, as Philip struggled within the ropes. The unclean spirit has entered, the oracle answered. Can you save him? Marius asked in anger. I can, but not now. We must wait and prepare ourselves, the oracle responded. Are you insane? Marius shouted, letting rage overcome him. The oracle closed his eyes and leaned against his staff. Suddenly, gold armor and a frosted beard emerged from the prostrate man. Caravax shrieked in fear and quickly knelt to the ground. Do you dare question the will of a god? The voice echoed as the figure pointed to Barius. Not quite. I'm not the religious type, first off. It's just I want my friend back. The Minotaur collapsed into tears. Trust me, everything will be fine. Go and rest for now, though I'll need your strength when the time comes. They brought Philip into a small chamber and closed themselves inside. There was a change in the atmosphere. Something was amiss. Although the night was humid, there was a dampness around them cooling their anger. You really are foolish at times, especially questioning mighty Cronius, Caravax said, sitting beside his companion. What do you expect me to do when our friend is in need of our help and we're told to wait? Bad enough, I had to hear that from the healer and his brood, too, Varius snorted. Philip remained unconscious, but on occasion started convulsing rapidly. His eyes rolled back into his head, and still he remained silent. Varius held the man down as Caravax shook his head in weary. For 3 days, the motions repeated themselves as both warriors stared in frustration at the fate of their friend. In the midnight hour, the door opened, and the oracle appeared donned in light armor, and still leaning against the staff. Come, the hour of your friend's release is at hand. Chains of gold sat around the throne of the main room. Many of the images were covered in satin sheets, and a section of the ceiling had been removed, allowing the moonlight to illuminate the tower above them. An axe of pure silver sat on a table, with the leather handle still squeaking as it dried into place. Bind the man to the chair and stand beside him, the oracle ordered. They placed Philip on the throne as his convulsions returned with more ferocity. The unclean spirit will attempt to insult you and wish for your attention. You mustn't acknowledge it. Whatever is spoken, are we clear? What about the axe sitting on the table? I'm not going to kill my friend, deity or not, Varius said with contempt. When the time comes for its use, you will know. But for now, leave it to dry and continue to let it be consecrated. The oracle stood before Philip, staring intently at the slumped form before him. Return to the foul abyss, whence you came, servant of darkness. I cast thee out. Look upon the armor of Cronius. Know its holy power, the oracle shouted. For the first time in days, Philip opened his eyes. Only their color had changed, a dark shade of crimson on the right side, while the other completely black. Foolish brother, his soul is mine. He pledged the oath to me. Your chosen one, like the rest of your followers, are leaving you. It was the voice of Terracon speaking through Philip. Varius stood in shock as the words and vileness erupted from his friend. He continued to restrain Philip, forcing the chains to cut along his flesh. Caravax held the man's legs together, ignoring the words being yelled. Do you not wonder why you're the last Minotaur of this world? Perhaps that feeble brain of yours hasn't processed itself, so allow me to answer the riddle. Have you noticed the pelts hanging from my son Octavius? Yes, he is my flesh and blood brother to that treacherous wench Joriana. Fear not, though, your death is coming, and soon you will join your family hanging as a trophy. Definitely, thank you for the opportunity to share that part.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you. And I sincerely apologize. Did not mean to introduce the wrong William. There was a Will and William like right on top of each other. And so when I clicked on it, I clicked the wrong one. My bad. So you're joining us from
No
Florida, Coral Springs, Florida, and author, Titanic historian. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it today.
Well, definitely thank you for having me, and definitely thank you, Michelle, for inviting me as well.
Yeah, shout out to Michelle getting the word out there. Michelle, invite everyone to my reading on Monday, okay? Monday, barbed wire open mic. Get the word out there. You know, if you guys have anyone who writes or performs, you guys should check it out. It's not as strict. You guys have a little bit more time. We do cover poems, and then we have like an after party chat. That's kind of fun. But before we close things up, thanks to everyone who has read today, and to everyone who couldn't make it. I know that you are with us still because you've been part of Tumblewords Project in various capacities over the years. Once again, my name is Richie Marrufo. I'm the project director of the Barbed Wire Open Mic Series, but constant, contributor to Tumblewords. And before I sign off, I'm going to give Donna the last words one more time. Yeah, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for all the workshops you've presented for me and the performance events you've performed at, and the many, 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 many readings you have organized for Tumblewords through the years. And I appreciate it. I know you're the hardest working man in poetry business, and thank you for all the time you provide to Tumblewords and to the community as a whole. I want to thank everyone else who came, who participated. If you were a stranger, I hope you won't be a stranger anymore, and that you will support Tumblewords. 25 years is a long time. Long enough for some of the people here to have been in school, high school still, or children, or maybe not even born yet. But it's been, the years just tumbled on like the words. So thank you very much to everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you, Donna. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in right now on the YouTube. If you're watching later, drop a comment, and we'll get back to you. I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream. So if you guys want to unmute and say bye, peace, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Richie.
Thank you, Manon. Thanks to everyone. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Richie.
Later.
Thank you, everyone.
And thanks to Donna and everyone else for keeping this thing going through this silly coronavirus thing. God willing, we'll be behind that as soon. But meanwhile, it's great that we have the opportunity to stay in touch. Thank you.
Right on.
Thank you for inviting me. Rich, pleasant meeting you.
Same.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Nice meeting everyone. All right, for the YouTube guys, later. Peace.
Wow.
Wait, I gotta end the live stream and not the whole thing like I've done before. I almost ended the whole thing. All right, peace, live stream.